Hello and welcome back to another edition of Viper Bites Wild Card Preview 2021 season. And in this video, we are going to talk about NFC West division rivals, the Arizona Cardinals, who come to this contest at 11-6, heading to Los Angeles to take on those 12-5 LA Rams. This is a grudge match. These teams do not like each other. In fact, I don't think Jalen Ramsey even likes anyone to begin with. And the booth is, this is a rubber match. Watching both these teams take one game apiece. Now, the Cardinals and the Rams, they come to this one both going in opposite directions. The Cardinals 1-4 in their last 5. The Rams 4-1 in their last 5. But you know what? The playoffs, that's a different beast altogether. And we know from the regular season, both these teams, they won a game, but they both did it on the road. Now, on October 4th, the Cardinals won 37-20. This was back when the Cardinals were a dangerous team. Everyone was fearing the Cardinals. Talk about Super Bowl champion Cardinals. They were the best team actually in the National Football League at this time. Now, they won, and Kyler Murray, 268 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 39 yards rushing. Matt Stafford, 280, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Chase Edmonds was the top running back of this day as far as yardage is concerned. 12 carries, 120, but it was James Conner who found the end zone 2 times on 18 carries and 50 yards. Darrell Henderson, he was the representative of the backs for the Los Angeles Rams, running the ball 14 times for 89 yards and then adding an additional 27 in the passing game. Speaking of the passing game, AJ Green and DeAndre Hopkins each had 67 receiving yards, and Van Jefferson led the Rams in receiving with 90 yards on 6 catches. Arizona actually contained, they didn't stop, they contained Cooper Kupp and held him to his worst game of the season, 5 catches, 64 yards on 13 targets. Then on December 13th, it was time for the Rams to head to Arizona, where they knocked off the Cardinals 30-23. Stafford finished this contest with 287 passing yards and 3 touchdowns, spreading the love around. A little bit of Cooper Kupp, a little OBJ, a little bit of Van Jefferson as they all got involved in the end zone. It was a big old dance party down there. Cooper Kupp, he finished 13 receptions for 123 yards. Kind of like, you slowed me down the first time, but I'm going to double up on this game. Now, Murray, listen, he was sacked 4 times. He threw 2 interceptions, but he did manage to throw for 383 yards. And among those yardage leaders was AJ Green leading the way with 102. And, we talk about some of these other guys here. Christian Kirk had 86. Hopkins, he did play in this game, but he basically finished the game 5 for 53. Now, with no DeAndre Hopkins, who's been missing a good portion of the season for the Cardinals, Murray's target distribution has been as follows. Zach Ertz, 28% of the targets. Christian Kirk, 20% of the targets. AJ Green, 16% of the targets. Antoine Wesley, 12% of the targets. Just to name, maybe you're looking for that sleeper, maybe it's Wesley in this game. Now, Murray holds the highest completion percentage of quarterbacks to have attempted at least 300 passes this season, 69.2%. And despite missing 3 games, weeks 9 through 11, Murray still threw for 3,787 yards, which ranks 14th in the league. Now, if I give him, over that period of time, let's say 250 yards passing over those 3 games in which he misses, he would have finished with 4,530 receiving yards, which would have put him in about 8th position as far as the passing leaders are concerned. Now, with the running game, James Conner. Raise your hand if you had James Conner as one of the top running backs in fantasy. Put your hand down. I know you're lying. Now, James Conner has turned in a low-key great season. 752 rushing yards, 15 touchdowns on the ground, 375 receiving yards. Yes, James Conner, receiving yards, that's crazy. And 3 more touchdowns. That's 18 touchdowns, 18 tutties. That trails only Austin Eckler and Jonathan Taylor, who each finished with 20. Now, over the last 5 games, AJ Green has seen an average of 7 targets per game. So you can expect Murray to look his way once again. And prior to last week's 3 targets, Christian Kirk had seen 9 targets in the previous 3 contests and has 75 or more receiving yards in 3 of the last 5. You know what? Call this the nuke factor. Even Zach Ertz has been heavily involved, having seen at least 7 targets and 5+ receptions in each of the last 5 games. Over that period of time, over that span, 295 receiving yards, but he hasn't scored since week 12 when he double dipped against the Seattle Seahawks. Now, turning our attention to the Los Angeles Rams. Matty Stafford, the tale of two seasons here, basically. The tale of two halves. I don't even know how to explain this, but listen. First 8 games, 69% completion percentage, 9.1 yards per attempt, 310 yards per game, 22 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, a 118 rating. The last 9 games, 66% completion percentage, a 7.3 yards per attempt, 269 yards per game. And here's the kicker. 13 interceptions to only 19 touchdowns. That passer rating down from 118 down to 90. And we're not even including the fumbles here. I mean, I don't know how else you can explain this, but bottom line is Stafford, he is slinging. He's a gunslinger. Call it what you will. 4,886 yards is the third most in the league. And his arm is responsible for the top 2 receiving seasons of all time. Megatron, Calvin Johnson, and now Cooper Kupp. Look, I'm expecting Arizona to drop 7 in coverage and limit the blitzing, as the teams that have had the most success against Stafford have done this, forcing Stafford to throw into tighter windows. And per PFF, Stafford was blitzed on 17.1% of the time over the last 9 games, which I believe is the second fewest, only behind Patrick Mahomes. I think Patrick Mahomes was 17.0 or 17.2, something like that. Don't fact check me. Now, prior to last week, Sony Michel had 100 scrimmage yards or more in 4 of the last 5 games. In the game that he failed to reach 100, he still had 79 yards, and they were all Rams victories. Now, last week, we saw the return of Cam Akers. How is he back? I don't know, but I am here for it, and I love it. He only had 5 carries for 3 yards, but I'm telling you what, those are some of my favorite yards of the season. I don't even think we are able to comprehend how truly remarkable this comeback for him has been this season. Now, we talked Cooper Kupp's numbers against Arizona a little bit earlier. Well, here's an overall update on the Cardinals secondary. The last 5 weeks of the regular season, Arizona has allowed the 3rd most receptions, 77, the 5th most yards, 927, and a league high 13 touchdowns to opposing wide receivers. I really feel that we're going to see Kupp, Van Jefferson, and Odell Beckham Jr. all find the end zone in this contest. And you know what? Speaking of Odell Beckham Jr. and Van Jefferson, they've had a pretty friendly rivalry since OBJ arrived in Hollywood, as Odell has 48 targets, Van Jefferson 43 targets, to see who the number 2 option is in the passing game for this Los Angeles Rams team. I really guess it comes down to who goes on a dinner date with Matt Stafford to get the extra couple targets in there. Now, for the Rams, they did lose Jordan Fuller to a season-ending ankle injury back in week number 18. And safety Tyler Rapp is in the concussion protocol. So that leaves them a little bit vulnerable in the back end. But never fear, the team did add Eric Weddle, who has been chilling on his couch since 2019. Sadly, he's still like way better shape than I could ever dream of being in. Now, how does this one break down? Well, listen. Last 5 games, Arizona, negative 7.2 point differential. The Rams, plus 1.22. Arizona has held opponents to 20 or fewer points in 6 of the 7 games with J.J. Watt in the lineup, and it looks like he is going to be back for this one. Now, it's true. We talked about Matt Stafford has been up and down, a tale of 2 halves, a tale of 2 seasons. If he can limit the turnovers, the Rams have to be feeling pretty good about themselves in this one. I have the Rams winning 30-24, and I have all 3 Rams receivers, Jefferson, Odell, and Cooper Kupp, finding the end zone in this contest. But J.J. Watt coming back, I might have to bring that score down just a little bit. So let's call it 27-24 for the Rams. And with that being said, head over to fantasypoints.com. Get that subscription today. A one-stop shop for everything you need fantasy related, plus some pretty good analysis along the way. Rankings, projections, you name it, they got it. Head over there. And if you're watching on the Vipers Network, please hit that subscribe button and give us a good old-fashioned thumbs up. We greatly appreciate it. Helps us with the algorithm or something like that. That being said, we will see you next time. Take care now.